The summer of 2020 protests not only sparked a reckoning on race, but it also brought a lot of attention to freedom of the press. Journalists from all over the country covered the civil unrest that followed George Floyd's killing. Police arrested hundreds of Americans during these protests, including a large number of journalists. One of them was Des Moines Register breaking news reporter Andrea Sahouri. Her case went to trial. A jury acquitted her last week.
On the charge of failure to disperse, we find the defendant, Andrea Sahouri, not guilty. On the charge of interference with official acts, we find the defendant, Andrea Sahouri, not guilty.
Joining me now from Iowa is Andrea Sahouri. Andrea, can you take us back to last year on May 31st and tell us what led up to your arrest?
Yeah, so May 31st, I was reporting at a really busy commercial area in Des Moines called Merle Hay Mall. And I was live tweeting so editors can see what I was doing and they could take my information and put it into a live blog because there was just so much going on. And, you know, obviously as the protests continued, tensions escalated, police and riot shield came, deployed tear gas, pepper spray, et cetera. And, you know, there was an instance where I was running from the tear gas and I had crossed the street to get away. And as I'm rounding a business, a police officer, I look back and a police officer is charging right at me. And so immediately I put up my hands. I didn't think it was a good idea to run from officers. I wasn't doing anything wrong. And, you know, I just put up my hands. I said, I'm press. And instead he aggressively held me, you know, pepper sprayed me right in the face at close range. And as he was doing so, he said, that's not what I asked.
We can see in the video how distressed you appeared to be on that day. How has this process of that arrest, your trial, and this recent acquittal changed you?
You know, it was really stressful and traumatic, but honestly, it's only made me a smarter, stronger reporter.
Your paper, the Des Moines Register, has been critical of Polk County District Attorney John Sarcone in the past. Do you feel the trial was the result of some kind of vendetta that he may have had?
I can't speak for, you know, John Sarcone or anything. I really couldn't tell you what, you know, what was going through his mind at the time. I mean, he, you know, clearly believed there was evidence against me, you know, but quite the contrary. As, you know, the trial showed, there is, you know, evidence to show that I did nothing wrong and I was actually just doing my job while complying with police orders. And, you know, their main testimony, the main evidence that, you know, the state produced against me was, you know, local TV footage saying that I was there, you know, after the dispersal order, which was, you know, a dispersal order was really unclear. And, you know, the officer who arrested me and, you know, pepper sprayed me in the face didn't have his body camera footage on, which is a violation of Des Moines Police Department policy. And it wasn't able to get, you know, be retrieved. He didn't notify a supervisor or anything like that. So,
as I mentioned, you were just acquitted. Do you plan to return to your position as a breaking news reporter?
Yeah, that's the plan as of now. We'll see what happens in the coming months. But, you know, I plan to, you know, since day one, I've always said I'm not going to let anyone tell me how or what job I should be doing. And I'm going to continue, you know, just doing great work, you know, telling the stories of my communities and, you know, holding powerful institutions accountable. So,
Andrea, as you know, you were one of more than 120 journalists who were arrested during the civil unrest after the George Floyd killing. That's up from just 9 arrests the year before. Media outlets and journalism groups, including your own alma mater, Columbia University, called for the charges against you to be dropped. How did it feel knowing so much of the industry was in fact supporting you?
It was definitely it was just beyond incredible, honestly. I had support from, you know, every corner of the globe, really. And it was a really big relief to feel that support and, you know, to know that people were standing behind me and recognizing the importance of journalism, especially in times like these. So.
I think people sometimes don't realize that sometimes being a journalist can be very dangerous. We're put into situations that are just inherently dangerous. What advice do you have for fellow journalists who are covering stories like a protest or others that might put them not in just physical danger, but in a situation that you were in?
Yeah, so, take your safety seriously, 100%. But at the same time, don't let what happened to me deter you. There's a reason why, people will try to silence journalists or silence the media. And we have an important job to play, not just in our communities, but in upholding democracy. And I would just tell people, in journalists, future journalists, current journalists, just to not forget how important our job is. Yes, take your safety and take your mental health and just take that and, don't forget that. But we do have an important, job to play. So.
Andrea Sahouri, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Thanks.